everyone, through here, welcome to today's video. So today's video is going to be a continuation of our series Introduction to Snowflake. In today's video, we're going to look at loading data into Snowflake using Talend. Let's dive right in. So I have Talend on my screen. If you're not familiar with Talend, check in the description below for links to get set up with Talend, or check around my channel. There are lots of videos around getting set up with Talend. Now, assuming you have Talend, which is an ETL tool, we're going to take advantage of this to load data into the Snowflake environment. So in last video, we were able to set up Snowflake environment, and this is what we're going to be using as an example. So you might have Snowflake already. If you don't, again, check out in the part 1 of this video. I went through setting up Snowflake, the trial account, so you can take advantage of it. There is a 30-day trial account for free completely. Really amazing. So we were able to set up a trial account. So I'm going to take advantage of this to load data into Snowflake. So let's go back into Talend. The very first thing to set up or to load data into Snowflake is to set up a connection to the Snowflake account. So I'm going to go ahead and set up that connection. So to do that, we're going to go to metadata, go to Snowflake, and that's where we want to set up a connection to Snowflake. So let's just go ahead, click on Snowflake connection, give it a name, call it, let me make sure we type correctly, call it Snowflake connection. All right, the account ID for that, if you're following step by step, what we want to get is this first account ID. So just the account ID. You can get it from the URL. We don't need to get everything from the .snowflake. That's not necessary. So we want to get just the account ID, just the very first part there. So you can go ahead and copy that. If you are using the trial account, I think that changes. If you have, say, an enterprise account, it might be a little bit different, but just get, just that account ID, not the region. We don't need the region for that. All right, so I copied that. I'm going to paste that in here. And we want to make sure we are in the correct region. Again, to verify, I am on US East. So when I created the account, I'm using US East. So whatever region you're using, just make sure you select that region. So I'm on AWS US East. If you were on Azure, you want to select the correct region for Azure. So for AWS, that's what we need. Authentication, nothing changes for that. User ID, the user ID is the same that I use. Password, want to make sure the password is the same. Now for the data warehouse and all of that, we can just use the basics from here, right? Data warehouses, I know we have the compute warehouse, so I'm just gonna use that. So I believe it's compute. Is that correct? Let's make sure we have it correctly. So warehouse, all right. Schema, we want to be public, and in the database, and I'm just looking at this as a reference. So database, we're going to use the demo DB. So that's just a public DB available in there. So I'm just going to type in demo DB. And if you're using Talend for the first time, this might be case sensitive. So you want to make sure you type everything here in upper cases, right? If you're running into issues, say you don't have this in uppercase, right? You might start running into issues. So make sure that you have everything in upper cases. Now let's go ahead and test the connection. Hopefully this is successful. And this should establish connection to that Snowflake environment. It takes a second. All right, there you go, successful. We can click OK. Now we have a Snowflake environment that we can use in Talend to load some data. If I had tables and all of that, or some schema in here, I think it should show up. But right now, this is just a trial Snowflake account. Everything's empty. So there's really nothing to select from here. Yours might be different if you already had some schemas within Snowflake. All right, so let's go ahead, click on finish. So that's finished. Now I have a connection to Snowflake. All right, so what we're gonna do in this demo is we're gonna load some data in Snowflake, and I have the data set available on my desktop. Let me open this up so we can just verify. I think I used this in the previous presentations. This has my order information. It has my customer information. So think about, we want to get these files, we want to load them into Snowflake so we can do some analysis within the Snowflake environment. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so the customers have ordered a couple of things, so we can join the customers tables to my order table and see what is going on in there. So that's really what we're trying to do here. So let's go back in here. So from Talend perspective, what we're gonna do is we have to establish a schema to those files. So it should be very quick to do this. I'm gonna create a schema to my customers file, give it a description, give it a name. All right, click on next. We wanna browse to that file. And this is customer. I'm gonna select the customers file, open that up. Next, very straightforward. I know that's let me verify that again. It's delimited by semicolons. All right, so in here I want to verify that that's a semicolon. Set headers as rows because the first line is a header. So let's refresh this. The first line is a header. So this kind of looks good. So Talend brings us that schema for us. Let's go ahead, click next. Everything looks okay from this perspective. The data types are correct. Just verify that and finish. All right, so let's do the same thing for others, just to create the schema for those files so we can use them for the ingestion to Snowflake. All right, I'm gonna go through this really quick. Set that header, verify that's okay. Refresh the preview. All right, that looks good. Looks very good. All right, the schema here, the data types looks all right. Let's go ahead and click finish. Now we are ready. We have a connection to Snowflake. We have a schema for the files. If I was working with a database, say from Oracle to Snowflake, the same principles will apply. I would simply just create a connection to that database, again using the Talend metadata. But because I'm working with a file or with files, I'm just using the file delimited schema within the metadata. All right, so let's go ahead to jobs and create a new job. Call this load Snowflake. All right, so this is a brand new Talend job to load those files into Snowflake. Takes a second here for the job to open up. Now, once the job comes up, the very first thing that we need is we can just drag those connections to the screen. Let me go slowly here. I'm gonna go ahead to customers, just drag it to the screen. It asks, do you want this to be file input delimited? So that's what I want. So I can go ahead and click OK on that. So my customers is right there. I'm gonna do the same for my orders. So I'm gonna have my orders coming in. All right, now if I needed to do some more transformations around this data, like filtering and data quality and standardization and all the 9 years that you might want to do on that data for cleansing, I will go ahead and do it. But in this case, it's a very straightforward basic integration. So I'm just gonna write this data, dump it straight into Snowflake. I know it's a clean data set without having to worry about issues, do duplications and all of that. So that's it. Let me come in here. I'm gonna go ahead now and bring my Snowflake component to the screen. So just watch when I bring it, it's gonna ask, okay, what do we want from here? The very first thing I always do is I bring the Snowflake connection. All right, so that's the first component. I keep it on the side. Now I'm gonna do the same, bring it in. But this time what I want is I want an output. So I'm trying to write this data into Snowflake. So in Talend, writing to a destination, you're doing an output to that destination. All right, if I was reading from a destination, I'll be doing an input from the destination. So here we're writing to Snowflake. I'm gonna do an output. All right, you can just copy it 2 times. I'm just gonna copy this and paste it so we have it 2 copies. It's always a good habit to rename this to customers. Just soft click on it and rename this to let's rename this to others, just so it looks pretty on the screen. All right, now I can connect my customers row to my customers information, and I can go ahead and connect my orders to my orders table. All right, now the connection that I have here is basically the connection so that this job knows what Snowflake environment to write that data into. So I can just trigger this job on this and then go ahead and trigger this on this. Actually, I don't want to do on subjob. Let's do, yeah, actually that's what I want on subjob. Okay, I thought I did on component. Okay, all right, so now let's just verify what we've done. So this is my connection to Snowflake. We created that in the metadata, so nothing fancy here. We're just pulling the connection in here. We're going to write to the custom, we're reading from the customer file, and we're going to write that to a table in Snowflake. And so that's what this first subjob is doing. All right, so again, very basic. It's gonna write that into Snowflake. But what is the table we're gonna write into? It doesn't exist. We don't have a table yet. All right, so if I browse on Snowflake, that table doesn't exist. This is a brand new Snowflake environment. So what we're gonna have to do here is to actually create that table. All right, so to do that, I'm going to make a change here. I'm gonna switch this to a built-in repository. All right, so that's that's good. And then I'm gonna make another change here, which will be to create table if not exists, because we know that table doesn't exist. So we're gonna go ahead and create table if not exists. In the cases where it exists, you might drop and create. You have all your entire CRUD operations that you can do. So let's just go ahead and create table if not exists. All right, so that's what we need. And then what's the action on that table? We need to insert. Okay, so let's use a custom object in here. All right, if we had the table already, what we'll do is we'll select that table. But since I don't have a table, I'm just gonna go ahead and use a custom object, and I'm gonna give it a table name. So call it customers. All right, so that will be the name of the table, customers, spelled correctly. All right, good. So just to recap, we're loading from a file, we're writing to a Snowflake table, which doesn't exist. So we're gonna create it if it doesn't exist. So that's the table action. And we're gonna the output operation is gonna be an insert. The output action is gonna be an insert. So you can insert, update, delete, but in this case we're just writing record. So insert. So that's it. Customers is all good. Let's do the same for others. All right. So for others, I'm a fan of always switching this to use my built-in connection. You don't really have to. All right. If you switch that, I can always switch it to use the connection I have on the screen. I just have a habit of bringing in the connection and using that connection on the screen. For some people, it's all right to use, whatever came from the repository. So let's do the same here. Select the object. It doesn't exist, so we're gonna give it a name. In this case, call it others. All right, so that we give it a name others. It's important that we give the action, which is create if doesn't exist. I know it doesn't exist, that's why I'm doing create if doesn't exist. All right, before we run this job, one last thing, verify the schema. We want to verify that the schema has come true. So in here, oh voila, you see, now I don't have a schema in Snowflake. So I have my input schema coming from my file, but what is it I'm going to put in Snowflake? There is no schema. If I run this job, I bet there'll be a problem. All right, so the way we fix that is make sure we do sync schema. So it takes the schema from my files and it brings that schema to my Snowflake. If you think about it, if you're creating a table, what are the columns for that table? What are the data types? That's what the schema is. So here I do have a schema, which I can view from this file, but in Snowflake, I did not have a schema. All right, but once I did my sync, if I look at this now, I can see my schema in the output. So that's what's going to Snowflake. The same thing here, if I verify this, no schema, what I always do, you can just like move the schemas over. That's fine. I don't think there's any problem with that, but I just sync schemas to make sure we have the schema in the output. Guys, so now this is it. This is it. So basic, we are ready to run this job and we can move data from the files into the Snowflake environment ready for analytics. All right, very, very quick and easy doing this with Talend. Now, if you're using another ETL tool, I'm sure there are ways to also get this, but I think Talend is very straightforward with the way this is implemented. So let's run this job. Takes a second here, a few seconds, and hopefully everything being equal, we should have data in Snowflake ready for processing. Now it says could not pass values. All right, I think I know what's going on. Okay, so it didn't like my values. I'm gonna fix this really quick, but I think my orders were loaded. So let's just fix this really quick. I'm gonna show a quick way to fix this. So what I'm gonna do, it failed with customers. I am going to come in here to metadata, and just for the sake of this demonstration, I'm gonna change that to a string. All right, and just make the length 12 just for the sake of this demonstration. It doesn't seem to like my the data types that I had in there for some reason. All right, so that's good. So if I verify this, I want to verify that my schema is now a string. All right, let's verify that in here in Snowflake we don't have a string. All right, so I'm gonna sync my schema to make sure whatever comes from the file. All right, so now we have a string here. So just a basic stuff. All right, so in this case, since my table was already created, so I'm gonna job at create table if exists, just because I loaded some data in here already. So let's go ahead and just run this job one more time. Hopefully this all gets us some data in Snowflake and we can use that for the analytics. It takes a second here. All right, I think everything's looking good. 10 records. Okay, good. I think that was successful. Then it's gonna load our 15 records into the others. Bingo, everything is good. So now let's switch back to the Snowflake environment that we have, the demo trial account Snowflake environment that we have, to see what kind of data we have in there. So I'm gonna go back into databases. I know I'm working on DemoDB, and voila, there you have it. Orders and customers, quick and easy. Those tables have been loaded with data. Now you can see in here I have 15 rows. For some reason I don't see the number of records I have for my customers. I believe if I just refresh this a couple of times, at some point it's gonna do the metadata calculation and show me how many records I have in my customers. So let's run some queries. All right, with Snowflake, it's a cloud-based data warehouse. Very easy. We saw in the previous video how to set this up. Now once we have it, we can load data very quickly into this and start using that for analytics. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and let's just go to worksheets here. All right, and I want to make sure my warehouse is up. Auto suspend. All right, that warehouse is up. So I'm just gonna go ahead and run some queries here. So what I'll do is, so select star from, just a basic query from, let's do from demo. It's good to always specify demodb.public orders. All right, so I just want to see all my orders. I know it's a very small data set, so I can see all my orders. All right, so what I can do now is, as orders, inner join, we want to do the same thing for that. Customers, at this point we want to go to customers as C. All right, on O dot what's the common key, customer number, equals to C dot customer number. So now we can bring our orders, and then we can bring it to the, and then we can see the customers for the order. So I can do O dot let's do C dot star comma O dot star. So just basic SQL query. It's nothing, I don't think we're doing anything fancy. It doesn't seem to like something here. What are we doing wrong? Syntax line 2, expected demo DB, inner join. That's an inner join. Voila. You gotta be careful when you write SQL. That's a problem. All right, maybe my inner join, yeah, that's a problem. So I think my keys don't quite match, but we get the point. I need to look at my data set. I believe my keys don't. So customer number 1. So why is that not matching? All right, it seems like it's not liking my keys for some reason, but I'll dig into this in a little bit to figure out why that's the case. But hopefully we get the point. All right, this exercise has shown us how quickly we can take data sets from all the different sources you might have in your organization, hundreds or thousands of different sources in your organization, leveraging a tool like Talend, an ETL tool, to do a quick load of that data into Snowflake, the trial account of Snowflake that we set up. Now, once we have it in Snowflake, we can come in here and start doing our analytics, our analytical kind of queries on the Snowflake environment. And all of this in the cloud without writing or without buying a single server. All right, it took just about what, 15 minutes. I had my Snowflake data warehouse in the cloud, and within 5 minutes or so, I can load some data and start doing some queries on that data, guys. So this is extremely powerful. This is a game changer when it comes to being able to do data analytics. All right, now there are ways to do that using Talend to do a push down to Snowflake. That's a little bit more of an advanced topic. Check around my channel. I believe I must have made some videos around that. But if you're just looking to build a data warehouse in the cloud, Snowflake is really the shining star. All right, Snowflake is the shining star, and Talend is a tool that can allow you to load that data into Snowflake very quickly, very easily. Now, if you have your analytics in Snowflake and you've presented all your information and everything is ready, now you can take advantage of tools like, say, Power BI to analyze that data in Snowflake, or you can take advantage of Tableau to analyze that data from Snowflake, or MicroStrategy. There are just so many tools you can use to access the Snowflake data for visualization. All right, guys, I think this is going to be the end of this particular presentation. I think my Power BI just came up here. If you wanted to use Power BI, you can use it and connect to Snowflake. I think that would be a separate video on its own. But hopefully this gives you a quick idea of how to take Talend, set up your Snowflake connection, load some data from files or from databases or from APIs into a Snowflake environment, which you can then take advantage of Snowflake compute for processing. So each time I run a query, if you go into my history, you will see my queries being processed here within Snowflake. So each of the queries that I did, you can see them here within Snowflake. All right, and I'm using my my warehouse, the warehouse that we use, which is compute. So it's just an overall powerful tool. All right, guys, I think this will be the end of this particular presentation. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to jump into the comment section below. Let me know any challenges, any issues, was something not clear. I'll be more than happy to either respond to your comments and discuss on that, or maybe to make a further presentation to elaborate on some of these concepts. All right, guys, thanks for watching. This is Fru. I really appreciate you sticking to the end. It means a lot. Subscribe, share this with somebody that might get value out of this. I really appreciate that. And I will see you in the next presentation.